Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. This is a channel where I talk about cricket. I have also started a podcast just about cricket, but now the podcast is limited to once a week. But I try to make as many videos as possible for the YouTube channel. And with that being said, if you have seen me before, if you like what I have presented so far, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how I'm doing. I'll be more than glad to work on any feedback that you guys provide me with. Um, Now, topics to be covered today: two test matches, one in Sabina Park and one in Lords, and brilliant test matches, both of them. And this has been one of those 2 days where we realize why we love test cricket so much. You may have white ball cricket, you may have all these different forms of cricket, but can anything ever replace test cricket? I have my doubts because this was absolutely brilliant. So let's start with the Test cricket match in Pakistan with West Indies and Pakistan. This Test match for me was absolutely vital for Pakistan more than it was for West Indies, considering the kind of matches Pakistan will be having for their World Test Championship for the 2023 timeline. So Pakistan is probably having one of the easiest route to get in there, and all they need is someone to put their hands up and apply themselves. And I'm pretty sure they're practically there. They play Australia at home, they play England at home, and all the other teams that they play against outside are Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and West Indies. With that being said, this match against West Indies was absolutely vital for them to win so they could stamp some authority and stay in the top three or top four and put pressure on whoever is up there along with them. Now, with Pakistan cricket, traditionally we have known that they have been known for bowlers. They have always produced the best pace bowlers, someone who's good on pitches that grip. They always had that extra pace. They always had the ability to reverse swing. And with that being said, the match in Sabina Park was poised so amazingly well for a typical Pakistan comeback. So being set put into bat, and it was a strange decision by West Indies because Sabina Park historically has had an average of 62.5% of the teams winning batting first. So it was a strange decision to put Pakistan in, but they would have had a amazing start considering Pakistan's team selection was again a little bit questionable. You see Pakistan and you see someone like Imad Butt coming in and opening, and Imad Butt, if you ask me, has a average of 17 in the domestic circuit. So it doesn't really make sense as to how somebody like him can be opening the inning. But nonetheless, Imad Butt opened, and it was a short stay at the crease. Wickets started tumbling, and then it was the usual combo of Fawad, Babar, and Rizwan that gave them some respectable total. And West Indies finished with 217. It also had a late push from lower down the order, but again, a strange selection considering they did not really have any left-handers in the middle order. So again, West Indies, you never know which side of the team comes out. They had Shine Shafri definitely, and he bowled beautifully. He got the top order wickets, and West Indies with all the batting lineup that they have, they managed to get to 253, giving the team a score of 36, putting Pakistan in a score of deficit when they 36 when they came back to bat in. Now, Pakistan again this time around they capitalized really well after the early wicket, and considering Fawad didn't really play well. He didn't fire in the second inning. Babar got a 55. They managed to put a decent score on a crumbling Sabina Park wicket with a target set of 168. West Indies being West Indies, they don't believe in doing anything the easy way. So they went in, tried to be all guns blazing, and lost three early wickets. And after that, it was the familiar faces of Jason Holder and Roston Chase trying to put up a partnership, stitch up a partnership. And in a chase where a team is chasing somewhere between 150 and 200, all you need is one decent partnership. But so good was Pakistan's bowling that even with that one good partnership, they were able to stop West Indies from scoring. And this is where I always question Babar Azam and as a captain. So you have you have West Indies down where you need them to be. West Indies are 54 runs short of the target and they have 3 wickets left. Considering West Indies batting, we all know it's all or nothing for them. Babar Azam decides to spread out all his field, especially on a day when Shaheen Shah Afridi is getting some bite of the wicket. Hassan Ali is bowling really well, and the strangest of all, Yasir Shah just bowled 3 overs in the second inning, which was absolutely strange, if you ask me. Yasir Shah, who was the man of the series the last time Pakistan was visiting West Indies, so Yasir Shah getting just 3 overs, he went for 13 odd runs. But the sad part was the field placement by Babar Azam. He had a deep mid wicket, he had a deep point, he had a backward square leg. And with that said, there was just easy runs on the offer. The bowlers were not even bowling in the center. No one's bowling wicket to wicket. It was either leg side or offside. And West Indies managed to score those 54 odd runs in the end with minimal risks. And I would say that because when the last wicket fell, ninth wicket fell, they had 18 more runs to chase. And even then, Babar was extremely defensive with his field. Uh, so, nonetheless, West Indies managed to get home barely with the tiniest and the minimal of margin. And it ended up with West Indies winning the first game and Seals getting the man of the match for his wickets as well as some of the runs that or his stay on the pitch. Which takes us away from that to the second test match, which is again going to be in Sabina Park, Kingston, and it's been told that this will be on a different track. So again, team selection will be the key for Pakistan. We don't really know what side Pakistan chooses this time around. But again, the batting probably focuses more on the three mainstays, Rizwan, Fawad Alam, and Babar Azam. And to a certain extent, Azhar Ali. But Azhar Ali has not really performed as well as we would have liked him to in the last few years. So let's see how that turns up. I would be surprised if Numan Ali doesn't play that game. Left arm slow orthodox bowler definitely adds more to what Pakistan currently has, but at the cost of whom is the question. They may have to sit out Abbas, but let's see. It's Team Pakistan. We don't really know how that turns up. For all we know, we may also see Shah Nawaz Dhani getting a debut. But that test match starts on 10th. So uh, let's just sit back and see how that game goes. 20th, sorry. Which brings us back to the second test match, the one that ended today at Lords. Amazing game of cricket, going from one way to the other. And like Virat Kohli mentioned in his post-match presentation, that the pitch had nothing to offer. There were no demons in the pitch whatsoever. And it was all sheer hard work by the four pacemen that India had selected. So the funny thing about this game is anytime we have a discussion and we leave or Virat Kohli leaves Ravichandran and Ashwin out, there's always that critical view that people look at with Virat Kohli that Ashwin had to play, especially on a track where the sun is going to beat down. Ashwin has to play, and you always question that if it was that obvious, why wouldn't Virat Kohli do it? Clearly, Virat Kohli saw something else that none of us outside could see it, and that is what makes him that special captain. But again, going back through that, the first day of the match, overcast conditions, brilliant batting by Rahul, brilliant batting by Rohit. And I think this is the first time in a Sena country India has managed to get a partnership of over 100 in the last 12 years or 12 odd years. So, great start to the test match. And at one point, when it looked like India would walk away on day two, England came back strongly with James Anderson. And what an amazing ambassador to the game he has been. He comes back in, gets his 5 wicket haul on Lords yet again, and manages to restrict India between for 380 odd, which brings England back in. Now, it was an absolute dead placid track. And just when England, it seemed like Bairstow and Joe Root, who's batting on a different level altogether, seemed like they would run away with the game. The Indian pacers come back in and they managed to restrict England. And I wouldn't say they managed to restrict England, but a lead of 26 was what they were able to give India. And when India came into bat with a deficit of 26, that wasn't really as much. And I was talking to quite a few people, and I said, this is going to be a game of one inning each. And sadly, the team batting four manages to have a disadvantage. So, yes, easier said than done now. Now that the game is done with, but I can guarantee you, I did say that it will. Team India walks in with an advantage. So, with that being said, India started pretty poorly. Rahul and Rohit, when we really wanted them to take on, they didn't really score big. Virat Kohli, who was looking probably the best we have seen on this tour so far, he managed to chase a ball way outside on the sixth stump, and suddenly he was nicked. And England must have felt that they are in the game, and it was their game to lose. But that's when Pujara and Rahane, the old war horses, they put their hands up and they see the timeout, they play, they craft their inning, they stay on the wicket. And at one stage, Pujara had over 180 balls and he had scored 45 runs. So if you look at it, he has played 60 overs there. I mean, 30 overs there, and he has scored 45 runs and an average of 1.45, which I know is not what the current modern game of cricket demands, but it's Pujara. He manages to find his ways. He crafts himself in, and him and Rahane put in a partnership together and managed to put India to a decent score. Now, again, just when we thought that India was having an upper hand, England came back strongly. Wood, Oli Robinson, they came back strongly. Moeen Ali as well, and they managed to get put India on the back foot again. And India walked in with bad light being offered. India walked in, and Rishabh Pant was given the license to go back. He was batting with the tail. This was a rare failure for Jadeja again, but Rishabh Pant was given the license to go, and he looked like he was going to go again, but a really good ball, and that is what happens in England. You can never just sit around, and especially if you're Rishabh Pant, you cannot just sit around there. Rishabh Pant got a brilliant ball, tried to defend no man's land, caught back in the by the keeper, and that was when people must have started losing their hopes. Ishant Sharma batting with Bumrah, and it's a game. If you're a neutral, this is the time when you enjoy cricket the most. You see the most unconventional shots. So right after that, Ishant Sharma tried to play a shot which cannot be described in any book, but that somehow went over keeper in the second slip, first slip and the second slip, and it went for a boundary. So that was pretty much like that was where the intent was shown that they will be going through for their shots. And suddenly England started with a defensive field for some reason, and they started bowling these short pitch bouncers, bouncer after bouncer, and there was some heated argument out there in the field. But nonetheless, that probably played well for India because now suddenly they were with the defensive field, they started rotating their strike around, and Shami and Bumrah managed to put 89-run partnership. So from suddenly India looking like they would lose, they were in a commanding position where they uh, they declared their innings, and England were left with a target of 60 plus. And this is where Virat Kohli, the captain, has to be applauded. He puts that faith back in the bowlers. He puts that belief back in the bowlers that 60 overs is good enough for you guys to get these people out. And that is exactly what they did. Brilliant start. Rory Burns, Sibley, both going off pretty cheaply. And then there was a small partnership. But then again, the thorn was Joe Root. And Joe Root was holding one end up. And there were catches being dropped. And yet the bowlers didn't give up. And especially the good thing is when you have a fixed time frame of 60 overs, that's the max you can bowl. The bowlers are going to bowl their heart out. And that is what they did. They were trying to get that extra zip from the pitch. Again, the pitch wasn't really assisting much. So getting that extra zip from the pitch, that extra bounce, bending their back, trying to put their Yorker in, and especially some of the wickets that we saw today. There was a brief partnership between Moeen Ali and Butler, but after that, Siraj showed up. Siraj put his hands up. Siraj started taking the ball away from the left-handers, got him and Sam Curran on king pair, Sam Curran this time around. And then again, Bumrah came back in and he got Ollie Robinson on a peach of a delivery. And that was one of those balls that you have to set up the team for. So bowling in bouncers, and then all of a sudden, round the wicket, he pitches a ball in and brings it slightly and hits on the pad. Kohli, for a change, was backing himself as a captain to take the DRS decisions, and all of them were spot on. So, with that being said, the last wicket was James Anderson, and what a fitting reply it was. Siraj doing it for his captain, what James Anderson had done to his captain, got him out on a duck. And then the celebration was just wild. It was amazing, a brilliant day for Test cricket. And I say that because the game swung from both sides, one after the other. And in the end, the team that dominated on day one finished it on day five and managed to get the victory. So India now leads this series 1-0, and they head to Leeds. That Test match starts in 10 days. So the interesting thing was Virat Kohli as a captain again in the end, when he was asked about how he felt about the toss, and the way he said that, there were some heated arguments out there, and we stood up and we knew that, this is going to spur us on. That just shows the kind of nucleus that Virat Kohli is holding in that dressing room. And yes, dropping Ashwin or resting Ashwin, whichever way you say it, horses for courses, as people say, but dropping Ashwin and still keeping him in the plans is something that a captain has to do. And that shows Virat Kohli's leadership skills. Yes, there is always that talk Ashwin should play all games. And yes, he is India's best spinner, probably world's best spinner. But nonetheless, if Virat Kohli is choosing what he chooses and manages to win games for you, you cannot question the captain. And that is all I can say. Now, just fingers crossed that India goes from strength to strength. Fingers crossed, Virat Kohli manages to get a big score next time he plays in Leeds. It's going to be a swinging track, but we'll cover Leeds when it's time for Leeds. Until then, let me know how I'm doing. This is all that I have, so let me know what I am doing. Like it, subscribe to it, um, give me a shout out if you can. I am trying to be as active as possible on Clubhouse as well, so you might see me being on Clubhouse. Join the group, join in for discussions. And until next time, I will talk to you guys. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.